is involved in this architecture, and where do we see growth in the next few years? Start with the panel members. Sean, sorry.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself, sir. Say whatever you want.
Hi, my name is Sean Chen. I'm the CEO of Resilient Systems. Our company been around 21 years. Okay, we focus in the video surveillance. We focus on the very large deployment, mission critical type of the environment. I mean, just a little bit context. So, City of San Francisco is our customer. So all the police departments' cameras, they record to our platform. And the Port of San Francisco, 500 cameras, okay, also recorded to our platform. So we focus on on the video. Okay, so later on, I will work kind of provide our view. Because we've been in this business for a long time. Typically cybersecurity is very important because video surveillance is supposed to watch the bad guy, right? So if you got hacked, the bad guy is watching you. Okay, so so the very mission critical environment we normally see, they disconnect from the internet. Okay, now the AI, the cloud is coming. What do? Okay, so I love to participate in the discussion later.
Thank you very much. Second person, that's myself. I'm going to put myself to the end. Majidan Walki.
Hello, my name is Machen Walke, and I'm the president and owner of CMIT Solution in Silicon Valley, and we are the IT MSP, where we manage IT infrastructure and also implement cybersecurity. And as far as smart city is concerned, as we all know, cybersecurity is very critical. And I'm also a certified cyber practitioner for CMMC, which means that I can help company be compliant if they work with the defense industry. And also, lastly, I also teach cybersecurity at UC Santa Cruz because in the supply chain focus, because a lot of time it's through the supply chain on the smaller weak link is where the cyber attack happens. So, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Ling Zhang, I think he's not here today. All right. For myself, I had a dual career in the industry as well as in academia. In academia, which is simpler, I've been professor at Santa Clara University, adjunct professor for 35 years, continuous teaching, because I really enjoy it. In parallel, I have a career in the industry, and I held a very senior position like CTO, fellow for people who don't know, fellow is the highest technical title in the industry. So I was fellow in HP, fellow at Yahoo, fellow at eBay. At Oracle, I designed and implemented the buffer cache for Oracle database. I have an award from Larry Ellison, if you know the name. In parallel to that, I have a lot of accounts in companies like HP, Yahoo, and so on and so forth. I'm going to skip all of that. So what's smart city? Let's define what smart city first. Smart city is the integration of effectively IoT, where the client is, and government services. And the idea here is that the government collect the data from the smart devices or IoTs and analyze the data and create a model so they can optimize the operation for the sake of improvement the will of the customers or the clients. In summary, smart sensors will collect real-time data to be collected and analyzed to help the government provide better service to the public. That is double-edged sword. It definitely has the opportunity to optimize things, but also has the opportunity, if one of the clients or more fed garbage data, that can distort the whole data. So you need to be very careful with that. This is a picture of what smart city is. You have a lot of clients, and the server typically is going to be in the cloud, but typically have infinite number of clients, IoTs. How it works is 4 steps. The IoT will do the data collection. You have sensor in every IoT, which is going to collect data, whatever the nature of the data is, then send it in a secure way to the server, which is typically in the cloud. Then in the cloud, you're going to process this data coming from everybody to see primarily how you could optimize the operation for the client. And you come up with a recommendation based on the analysis, and in theory, you're supposed to pass this recommendation to the bureau, make decisions. They can make decisions. Where cybersecurity fits? It fits everywhere. In the device which you collect, the IoT which collect the data, it needs to be secure. If it's not secure, you could be transmitting to the data analysis wrong data or corrupt data. So that's number 1. Number 2, when you communicate the data to the cloud, presumably to do the analysis, the data need to be secure. Otherwise, you are leaking the customer data. So that's unacceptable. So the data need to be secure, i.e. encrypted. And with the massive number of clients here, you have potentially good size problem for key distribution problem. Then finally, once you get the data in the cloud, you need to do the analysis, and you need to store the data on persistent store, so it needs to be secure. And of course, you come up with a recommendation, you pass it to the right people in a secure way as well. How the cloud fit into this architecture? Typically, my suspicion is, I don't know that for a fact, but I have a strong feeling that the cloud will host the data analysis on the server side. So the IoTs will send the data to a server in the cloud, then you do the analysis there. And of course, security is very important in that stage. Where do you see the growth? And that's where AI come into the picture here. There is potential use of deep learning. There are 2 aspects of deep learning here we are going to potentially leverage to improve smart city. One is you need to have massive parallel processing. So you need to have essentially MPP or massive parallel processing platform. That's number 1. Number 2, you need to be adaptive. And that is very critical here. You collect data, the nature of the data change over time, and they change based on who is sending you the data. So you need to build the model, not static model. The model need to be dynamic. More data continuously coming to you, the model need to be adaptive. Okay, I think that is what I really want to cover. And that's it for me. So thank you very much. What I would like to do now, if possible, is to open the floor for open discussion. Okay? Anybody has any questions, just go to the microphone, speak up, and whoever the right person among the 3 of us can answer, or more of one of us can answer. That's okay. Okay? Let's take questions. Yes?
Do you think that
Can you have a microphone, please, so I can hear you? Yes, give it.
Do you think the cloud-based kind of a solution, you think it's a public cloud or private cloud? It's better for this kind of solution. When I say public cloud, it's like, do you go to Amazon, Azure, or something, or the city themselves have to build up their own private clouds?
Do you see Amazon as private cloud? Amazon is a public cloud.
Yeah.
Public cloud, yeah. Huh? You go ahead.
All right. So, we look at this issue. Okay, actually, our company, okay, we have our private cloud product for the video surveillance. We also work with a public cloud company. Okay, so the cybersecurity in the video space is all about trust. Who do you trust? right? You put your video to the public cloud. Do you trust Google? Do you trust Amazon? Because they may be able to see your video, right? So there are people, if they don't trust the public cloud, then they have to put their own private cloud, right? So depending on the users, and yeah. So
do you anticipate that every city will have to set up their
well,
own
so from the city point of view, I think there's even bigger problems. Okay, the city, who has the budget? Okay, who actually has ownership? Okay, who actually is responsible? It's a very complicated issue. I don't think, or I don't even see every city is the same. They are all different. Okay, so we are going to see very diverse, very diverse solution. They do have some compliances in the public cloud. So there are some city police department. They do. I mean, from the video space. Okay, if the public cloud has that compliances, then they can use it. But it's very complicated. Like for example, like when we work with the city of San Francisco, they told us anything related to the cloud required to go through a committee. Then I know immediately it's going to take 4 years. It's not going to happen.
So right now the problem that I see.
Do they have any the federal levels kind of a policy and the state level policy that can push forward for this kind of smart city, because it's more effective, because there's regarding this kind of surveillance, everything, there's some kind of privacy issues. I think that they must have some kind of federal level, some kind of demanding. Yes.
Go ahead. Come here. You could use that. Leave that to.
Okay.
Come and use it.
So on the government side, federal side, there is regulation or compliance.
Yeah.
For example, at the very basic level, NIST SB 800-171 has been now pushed out to a lot of even government entities as well as the supply chain. You can go to CMMC level 2, 3, depending on what level of security you're working with. But even with a public cloud, for example, if you want to use AWS, Google, Microsoft, you can create a dedicated protected cloud to use, because that's more scalable, right? If your own private one may not be as scalable, as available, because you have to build the redundancy and everything, right? So it depends on the use. Not everything needs to be private or public, depending on what data you have in it. The key is the data. The data has to be protected, encrypted at rest, and during transport.
But
That's the key.
The cost is very high if you go to the public cloud.
It can be, yeah. It can be, yeah.
Dedicated, like private cloud for your usage will be very expensive.
Yeah, cost definitely is a factor, depending on whether you want to go public cloud or private cloud, yes.
I would like to add a topic here, which I'm working on actually with Santa Clara University, which is not directly related to that, but you should know about. Privacy primarily comes from encryption, and there are two types of encryption: public key encryption and private key encryption. Both of them are bad. One is very expensive and very secure, very complex, and the other one is cheap, but it has problems like a problem called key distribution problem. There is a third encryption algorithm suggested theoretically in publications, but there is no implementation to it available yet. And I'm working on one of them, working on an implementation called homomorphic encryption. If you didn't hear about that, homomorphic encryption is going to be the future. What is homomorphic encryption? It's encrypting the data where you don't need to share the key with the cloud provider. Ask yourself the following question: why do you think private cloud exists? First of all, public cloud is always more cheaper and more efficient because economy of scale. Then why people still have private cloud? Because of privacy. No company will put their private data, economic data, financial data in cloud. Never. They're going to put in their own private cloud. Homomorphic encryption is meant to solve that problem. in 2 words, and if you want to know more, talk with me after this, because this is not relevant 100% to that topic. With homomorphic encryption, you own the data. You encrypt it using that homomorphic encryption algorithm, which doesn't exist. You send the data encrypted to the cloud provider. The cloud provider does not have the key, so he does not know the data. Then you send the query you want to ask encrypted. He will execute the encrypted query on the encrypted data and somehow produce encrypted result equivalent to, if you decrypted the data, execute, then encrypt the result. So if that can be possible, if it happened, private clouds are going to be all shut down. Why? Because the main problem, the main reason it exists is security. Security now is solved because I can encrypt the data with my private key in my pocket here. I don't give it to the cloud provider, and the cloud provider do everything I want much cheaper because of economy of scale. They take care of essentially backup, administration, all of that at economy of scale, which is much cheaper than you do. It is difficult problem, but I can assure you that many people are working on that. So my intention here is to make you aware about that, and God only knows who's going to solve it first. Hopefully it's me, but let's wait and see.
Okay,
Regarding public cloud and private cloud, I think I disagree with you that public cloud is cheaper. Because there's a very economical private cloud available.
Which one is cheaper, you think?
No, you say public cloud is always cheaper. That's not the case. Because right now the technology development hardware is so cheap, so you can have very economical private cloud for that.
We can disagree with that, but think about this way. For private cloud, you need to hire an engineer to do backup, engineer to administer, whatever, right? In the public cloud, you hire 5 engineers to manage the whole world. So the cost per server, whatever, is much cheaper. Economy of scale is a proven thing.
Because private cloud can solve a lot of problems, not only because a cloud is not only handle the data. There's other things, there's a device. And there's a security issue of VPN. Everything was established, and then you have no control over what you're going to develop. So there's a gap between private cloud and the public cloud. So I wouldn't say that the public cloud can solve any problems.
Let's talk about it after this. I'm happy to talk with you and learn from you, but also learn from me. Any other question? Yeah.
Hi. My question probably to all 3 of you. Now the cloud right now is pretty much borderless, and I provide a cloud service. Anybody in the world can access it, but we want the customers globally to access it. So can you share some of your views about how you deal with the security aspects when the cloud service goes outside the US to every other countries? What would be the, I don't know if there's an answer, what would be the best recommendations when you want to provide a cloud service from a security perspective to global customers? Thank you.
Any suggestion here? Go ahead.
Okay, so very similar to what he was talking about, right? So you wanted to control the key, right? You don't want it to have the possibility that somebody else will have your key so they can get into your data. So the model, actually, we do have a product very similar to the one you just described here. Called, we use a technology we developed called the private lock. What does it mean? It's kind of like the bank security box, right? You go to the bank, right? You wanted to put something very, very important to you, okay, into the security box. But do you just give it to the teller, say, go ahead, put it in the box? No. You want to walk all the way to that, a deposit box. You put it in, you close it, and then you lock it, right? And then maybe there are 2 keys, so they take 1 key, the other key you wanted to hold it in your pocket. Then you know that thing is safely secure in there. Only your key, or maybe the other key, will be able to open it. So the same thing, we do it for video. when we put it into the cloud, doesn't matter if it's domestic or it's international, we do the same thing. Okay, so the video is locked. That's what we call the private lock. It has a key. Only you have it. Doesn't matter where you put it. Okay, you have the key, then you can see the video. That's how we solve that problem.
That's pretty good. Do you see the blockchain will actually play a significant role?
I cannot comment on that. I mean, I think blockchain may be the way to manage your key. Maybe it can help. Okay, but I'm not an expert of that. So,
thank you.
Blockchain is going to be used.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I can add to his example on the two key because there's a recent incident at one of the well-known password manager. Some of you may know, but the fact that they did the right thing as far as the algorithm on the keys, even though if they got breached, there's only one key that they got, the hackers got. They don't have that second key, which is me as the user, still have that, and that company does not have my key. They don't store it, they don't have it anywhere. And the fact that it's all encrypted, they still can't get through, right? So there's a lot of that layer of encryption and security you need to put in place. There's some things, that are not important that they don't encrypt. So like, browser URL, those, the hackers can see, but all the key are encrypted, so they can't even get through to it. So I think even that's a good test case of getting breached, but you're not getting through to all the end users. So.
In my humble opinion, is encryption is double-edged sword. Why? Because it is secure if you can trust the cloud provider. The problem with the cloud provider is they have a rotten employee who have the key, access the data, go and sell it, and how the hell you are going to prove that? So your information is as secure as you trust in the cloud provider. Big companies, they do a lot of work, I'm sure, to ensure that they are okay, and as other people trust people like Amazon and whatever. But in principle, if you give the key, in theory, if you give the key to the cloud provider, there is the security level is not 100%. You are vulnerable, maybe less or more, depending on the cloud provider and so on and so forth. And that's why I said the homomorphic encryption is very active field of research. Nobody has a commercially viable solution yet, but everybody's trying to go there for good reasons, probably.
Yeah, one of the reasons that people going to the big companies because they are big, so you can sue them. If it's a small provider, then you can sue, but they don't provide you any protection. Especially when government gets involved.
But here's the problem. You put the data at Amazon. Amazon is innocent and didn't do anything bad, but they have a bad employee who has access to the key and got the data and went and sold it in the dark, nobody knows, and the data leaked. Who is going to track all of that? It's very hard. In principle, maybe there is a way to do that, but people will feel much more comfortable if nobody has the key other than me, and that's what homomorphic encryption does for me.
It should be trust no one solution. Okay, you cannot trust anybody. Only you have the key, right? You trust yourself. Okay, everything should be just you. Okay, trust no one.
Or trust people, but at different level. But the one you trust 100% is only you. Right. It's a matter of how sensitive the data is. What are the consequences if the data leaked? If the data is not very sensitive, who cares about homomorphic encryption? But if the data is sensitive and there are consequences, then you don't want to take any chances. That is my view of that. Make sense? Any more questions? More questions here?
many questions.
You had enough? All right. All right, I think we're done. If there is no more questions. Do you guys want to say any comments or anything? All right. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.